You found the survey, man?
What a finish! This is not going to be a drag race. Who took that one? What a finish! This is not going to be a drag race. Who took that one? What a finish! And ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for that break in the race, as we've had some disruptions in our race, in the servos. I'm not sure what's going on, but unfortunately we had to drop the race for a minute, and now we're back with the action. As it stands, John Singleton is in P1. This is a reverse grid race. Nicholas Donald is in P2. Rodrigo is in P3, aka Seno. Emmanuel in P4. Luis Arenas in P5. We are doing a rolling start for this one just because we've had so many incidents. But nonetheless, as it stands, Roger Killer in P7, Rohey Robinson in P8, and Jaden Harrison in P9. As the drivers should be coming around the final 2 corners now. Coming out of this corner, they should be able to go in a double lane file. And at this point, the drivers should be back in the pack up, so everybody should be less than a second and right beside each other, just like in karting. All right. So John should be in P1, Nicholas in P2. And as they head to the start finish line to get racing, it's green light, green light, green light. And the drivers are now away and ready to start back the action. We've had so much drama, I'm sure at the moment they just want to get back into it as quickly as possible. But guess what? These are wet tires and the temperatures have gone down. So you have to be that much more cautious. Emmanuel now clearly saying that he wants to gain back that position as quickly as possible as he comes around the final, the turn 1, my apologies, and heads down side by side with Mr. Rodrigo, or Seno as we may call him for the duration of this race. Emmanuel now in P3, loses out to P4, Mr. Donald, but this is Mr. Donald there, seeing if he can just put that car right on the inside, maybe gain back a position if possible. Jaden Harrison hounding the rear of that Ford Focus. We do say that bump drafting is allowed, so who knows, is that Jaden Harrison maybe trying to push Mr. Nicholas Donald through and gain that extra advantage in speed gain as they go around turn 5 and head down now side by side. Jaden is on the ID line. There's a slight bit of contact, but nothing too dramatic, so we'll continue to watch that. Kimani Eastman has his best friend Mr. Roger Kello in the rear of his mirrors, and will be trying his best to see where he can maybe keep and maintain and gain back that maintain that position and ride along with Mr. Jaden Harrison and Rohey Robinson, who has already overtaken Jaden Harrison, clearly trying to gain back that P1 from the debacle from the first race. But Jaden Harrison now making contact with Nicholas Donald. The two did get very racy and bumpy as they came out of turn 9 there. Jaden Harrison now looking like he's the biggest loser out of everything as he's on the grass. Oh no, I'm sorry, that was Roger Keller who was on the grass, but nonetheless, Kimani Eastman in P6, now chasing Mr. Nicholas Donald, does seemingly get that move to stick on Mr. Donald, and heads down now into turn 1 and will be moving up into P5 and has quite a few amount of cars there to try and gain back that position on. But there goes Emmanuel trying to see if he can make the move stick on Rodrigo again. Heading down now into turn 2, and the two are side by side. Who is late on the brakes? Right here, you want a little bit of braking, so sometimes even braking earlier would work out in your favor. Right here, wet and bumpy is not the best combo. So here is Mr. Rayon there trying his best to just maintain as much speed, but there he goes in P2, has made that move stick on the driver ahead of him, and Iman Rayon is in P2 and will now be hunting the driver ahead, Mr. John Singleton, for that P1 position. But we know, we've seen it in the past, he will not be giving it up too easily. Jaden Harrison now hounding again the rear of that Ford Focus, and will be trying his best to see where he can gain back that position as well on the driver ahead and dispatch of him as quickly as possible so he can gain back as he would call them, his rightfully earned positions in this race. So we'll continue to watch and monitor as that goes along. But Jaden Harrison now honing that blue Ford Focus. If I do remember correctly, that is a livery for Jaden Harrison, which he ran last week, but clearly has found himself back into that Honda Civic, and the two make contact, and this is not his race to be had. Jaden Harrison now disconnecting. Frustration is taking the best of him as 50 minutes remain, and I'm guessing just too much has happened this race, unfortunately, and we will be just getting back into the drawing board to see what can happen for next week. Rohir Robinson now in P3 will be trying his best to see if he can gain back on Mr. Ryan ahead of him, as well as Mr. Singleton in front of them. So 1.6 is it from Iman to John Singleton, and 1.3 is it to from Rohe to Iman Rayan. Kimani Eastman now we right along board with to see if he can gain back that position on Mr. Seno in front of him, Mr. Rodrigo, as the two are fighting it out this evening. We'll take a quick look at the driver point of view here. We'll take a quick look at the driver point of view here. In this rain, we are testing out the physics and the race graphics with the newest CSP. So as you can see, the wipers are now rightfully back in action, and very excited to have it back as Kimani Eastman 3 seconds off of the car ahead of him makes a move on Rodrigo behind him now, as Rodrigo just went off track and now has a charging Swiss driver right there in his rear view mirror, and I'm sure the two will be fighting it out for that P5 position for the duration of this race. And the fight for P1 is now underway between P1, P2, and P3. The fastest driver sitting in P3 and the newest driver in P1. As there's 13 minutes remaining, Emmanuel now gets the better run and the better exit, heading now down into turn 1 and makes the move on John Singleton, and will be very happy to make that move stick. But as it stands, they might come out right side by side, heading down now into turn 2. But the two, it seems if maybe John got a better run, or got a worse run, my apologies, and Iman just makes that move stick and moves, and there goes Rohir Robinson, was right there in the slipstream and just makes that move stick as quickly as possible to gain back that P3 position from P2 position from John Singleton, who now sits in P3. We'll continue to ride along board here. Is that Kimani Eastman was disconnected and has reconnected back to the race, so unfortunate for him there. This race has just been too much, man. I'm not sure what's going on, and we're going to have to pray about it and make sure that anything that's to come will be fixed for the next coming series next week Friday, as we'll be visiting the Sachsenring circuit, one of our favorites, one that will not have any rain, unfortunately, because we just love the dryness of it, and it's such a beautiful track. We don't need any added drama. Assuming a very full grid for that series, so we'll continue to watch as we may even have a not new driver, but somebody coming back into the mix who's messaged me since last week to say he wants to come back, who will be fighting for that top podium position, and I won't call his name until he makes his way here. But nonetheless, we'll continue to watch as Mr. Rohir Robinson fights it out with the Brunian driver, Mr. Emmanuel, and heads down, chasing him now into turn 1, heading down now next to turn 2, but they're just past the start finish line and start the next lap. The Bruni driver will definitely be having that Jamaican in his rearview mirror and hoping and praying. He does take a very unorthodox line, very wide entry heading into turn 1, but if it works for him, it works for him, because that gap is slightly extending back out to about 0.8 of a second. I'm seeing it dwindle a little bit, so I'm assuming maybe a little bit of hybrid use here. And no, it's not like Formula 1. Granted, you can use ERS during rain, but like in Formula 1 with DRS, rain is not allowed. In these instances, ERS is very much so allowed, as we see the Jamaican there knows he has the pace, but just has to be very cautious, especially in these tricky conditions with the rain. Has to be very cautious, but John Singleton has not given up his position because he's sticking very much so close and on the rear end of that Hyundai in front of him in that Ford Focus. In his debut race here at the JSRA, he's made his way in the practice race on stream test drive, so this is not his first time driving these cars, but nonetheless is his first official race here with the JSRA. Cannot wait to have another event with him, especially in that international championship, karting championship. Rohe took a look, but still not close enough, and the Australian driver just looking there in the rear view, hoping to see if he can make that move stick at some point if possible, but is just waiting and waiting and waiting, but very much so sticking right there where he needs to be, just in case, as the Jamaican and the Brunei are now fighting it out for P1 and just keeping Mr. Singleton right there in the mix of the action, looking, learning, trying to see where he can gain that advantage. But 5/10 now is the gap between Rohe Robinson. 10 minutes remaining, so we'll watch and monitor that as that race continues. Ladies and gentlemen, if this drama was just smooth out, this could have been such an amazing series and event tonight, but nonetheless we'll enjoy what is left of it as the Jamaican heads down now into turn 2 to see if he can gain that advantage on the Bruneian driver ahead of him. John Singleton getting the best view out of everybody here, just watching and riding along to see where he can pounce and maybe make a move, but 4/10 is the gap between himself and the car ahead, and we'll just stick along with him because he just has the best view of this action as he's just sticking right there in the right positions, ready for the picking if there is to be any extra or added drama. He is on pace for a podium and even building a gap to the car behind Mr. Roger Kello, and we'll continue to watch and hopefully see where this can bear some extra added fruit for him. So he's just hoping that the fight ahead of him will just gain that extra advantage for himself to be, stay within the slipstream and be able to fight with the drivers ahead. And there he goes, extremely wide there, and that is his race undone for at least the top 2 podiums, because the dirt or the sand is very much so, it will just drag you in from you touch it. That's the one place you definitely don't want to be. The sand trap is very much so accurate to the point where it will just stop you in your tracks. But nonetheless, it is Rohe Robinson again trying to make the move stick, coming out of the final corner, but the Bruneian, Mr. Emmanuel just says, no sir, you will not pass me in that regard. It will take a little bit more action, a little bit more effort, as he just takes that very unorthodox wide line, but maybe that gives him a better exit. We'll see if he pulls away, and yes, it does look like it works for him, because on entry Rohe Robinson does seem like he closes in, but on the exit Mr. Emmanuel just pulls away and builds that gap even further. Rohe Robinson very much so late on the brakes heading down into turn 1, but the Bruneian just putting that car exactly where he needs to be, just to make sure that that Jamaican cannot make that move stick. And again, very late on the brakes, and the door is open for Rohe, but nonetheless Eman is just putting that car where he needs to be and is just holding that position very much so comfortably away from the Jamaican behind him. And I'm sure the two will be having a lot of laughs after, as the wideness of his racing line is just something to behold, man. But nonetheless, that looks like Rohe got a better run heading down now. But defensive is Mr. Iman Rayan, and will be... No, he did not go defensive. So is this the opportunity that Rohe has been looking for? We'll watch and ride along now with Mr. Singleton, who has just been put right back into the action. And again, right where you need to be is Mr. Iman Rayan now, putting that car where it needs to be to make sure that the cars behind cannot make any move stick. Did that car go sideways? No, it did not. Sorry, my apologies. But there is Mr. Rohe Robinson trying to get the better exit as the two come out, and it's again the same exact move every lap, and Mr. Iman Rayon is just putting that car where it needs to be. Nobody can make that, or sorry, my apologies, Rohey Robinson can't make that move stick where he needs to make that move stick, and is now Mr. Singleton being maybe learning a little bit too much as his fastest lap supersedes the two ahead of him, again because the fighting has kind of slowed them down, but nonetheless this just keeps him in the mix. The gap between Mr. Singleton and Mr. Keller, the Swiss driver, is still about 8 seconds. So it's not like the Swiss driver is catching up in any way, shape, or form. Rohey Robinson very late on the brakes and tries to see where he can maybe force a mistake as he there goes again. But the exit entry, so clearly this is where this is a track where exit should be prioritized over the entry, and there it goes. Emmanuel now was under threat, now builds that gap right back up to 0.6 of a second, and the two will be continuing to fight it out. There goes John, very nice on the brakes there to bring himself right into contention. Again, it's like, I mean, obviously as you go along you're learning more and more, but especially riding behind one of the fastest drivers on the track, you do learn a little bit more. As there you see Iman taking that inside line, and there goes Rohey Robinson trying to see if he can do that switcheroo, but no sir. But John is just looking and waiting to see where he can make that move and pounce on the two ahead of him. So we'll continue to watch, because these two are putting on a show to behold. Unfortunately, we do not have Kimani Eastman or Jaden Harrison on track with us tonight. Both were, or I guess were disconnected. It's just been a night filled with drama. I'm hoping that we can figure out what's going on here, but we'll get to the bottom of it sooner than later. Important is the gap between Mr. Singleton and Rohey Robinson. So these two, he now has to be looking behind to see where he needs to maybe make this move stick. This is not necessarily the desperation zone, but with 3 minutes remaining plus 1 lap, you want to start looking to see if you can make the move sooner than later. As he makes that dive down the inside, does he have enough space? And yes, he does. Mr. Rohey Robinson finally, and the same place is Mr. Singleton, finding himself on the grass and now loses his opportunity to gain that position from the two ahead, or even one of them. But again, 2 minutes remaining. Will he be able to catch back up? We'll only see. You see the grooves on the tires being very shiny as the water is still building up. It is light rain, and Emmanuel has not given up this fight as he takes a look with the draft. Heads down now on the outside. Will be taking his ideal line that we've seen worked for him all evening long. 2 minutes remaining. He takes that wide entry. Let's ride along board with him. Will he gain that extra advantage? As you can see, he pulls on exit as he takes that inside line. Rohey trying to cover him off. Who will break first? We've seen Iman break a little bit earlier, Rohey typically a little bit later, and the two, ouch. Where is Rohey Robinson? That move, unfortunately, I guess Rohey had to just back out of it. Will he be giving back the position, because that was what we would consider a dive bomb? No, he would not be. And the Bruneian driver has just taken back that position to take P1 away. And guess what? John Singleton is still right there in the mix, ready to pounce on anybody who makes any mistakes. That was one mistake that if he did not touched the grass a lot before, could have maybe used it to his advantage, but nonetheless, 8 tenths is a gap between himself and Rohey Robinson, so he's putting on a heck of a drive this evening and making the best of his his debut here at the JSRA. Ladies and gentlemen, what a fight this has been between these three drivers. Coincidentally, all three driving a black and yellow car. 2 Hyundais and 1 Ford Focus. 38 seconds, then plus 1 lap. Will they pass the start finish line before? I don't think so. So this should be 1 lap plus 1 lap after that. So 2 laps remaining after this one. We will have a lot of fighting as Mr. Rohey Robinson, I'm sure, will be trying his best to see if he can catch back up to the cars ahead. And it is now what we've denoted in the past, the desperation zone. 6 tenths is the gap between Rohey Robinson. 6 tenths is the gap between John and Rohey Robinson. And Emmanuel and the Brunian driver is just maintaining his position here and making sure he has not raced with us in a while, but is definitely trying his best to stamp his dominance here this evening and keep that position away from the Jamaican driver behind. And not just the Jamaican, but also the Australian, who is right there in the slipstream. We hope and pray he will not be touching the grass on this lap around, and I'm sure it will be in the back of his mind as he does seemingly take a little bit later dab on those brakes. But Rohey Robinson does get out better than him, and the exit, again, the exit is what matters more than the entry here. 2 tenths is the gap, and there goes Rohey Robinson now later on the brakes, the same place he made the move on in the last lap. Will he be able to maintain that position? He goes extra wide, maybe kind of putting the elbows out there to try to, force Mr. Rayon behind him to break a little bit sooner. But this is a desperation zone. He immediately goes to the inside line to protect, and now will be trying his best to see where he can cover off the Brunian driver behind him, Mr. Iman Rayon, who has put on what a spectacle of a drive here. He does look like he has a better exit as well again, and is now breaking that toe. And this, ladies and gentlemen, will be the final lap. The Brunian driver, Mr. Iman Rayon, on his unorthodox line. He's the only person that has been taking that line all evening. Does, as you can see, it is just pulling in that car ahead of him. But we know Mr. Robinson is a later breaker. It's maybe too late for Mr. Iman to break. What will happen heading into turn 2? Nothing will happen as yet. But the Brunian driver right there in the rear slipstream of the car in front of him, Mr. Rohey Robinson, as they head around into turns 3. Now into 4, and the wide line, maybe Rohey Robinson has picked up a line or 2 from the Brunian driver. As the 2 come out, there is slightly pulling away, or pulling on, is Mr. Rayon, but the 2 are going to be fighting this one out until the end of this race. But what an epic battle this has been, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my word. This is the final lap. And the drivers look like they are not even comfortable as yet, as we see John there taking a look there in the rear view mirror of Mr. Iman Rayon. The rain is still pouring, and maybe these drivers are hoping for one person to just touch the grass there or here, anywhere at this point. But the Australian driver right there ready to pounce. 5 tenths is a gap between himself. A man who has been defending is now having to defend against the Australian as they come around the final corner. Who will get it as the Australian backs out, unfortunately? But that being said, did come P1, P2 in the first race, comes around the finishing line in P1 is Mr. Rohey Robinson, followed by the Brunian driver. What a spectacle of a drive that he's done this evening. John Singleton in his debut in P3. Roger Keller comes around the line for P4. Rodrigo in P5 now comes around the final bend to finish up this race. Nicholas Donald and Luis Arenas are the next two behind, but Rodrigo, or aka Seno, is in P5. Nicholas Donald now rallies around the final corner onto the start finish straight and makes his way to finish this race in P6. Luis Arenas in P7 comes around to finish this race off. What a race this has been, ladies and gentlemen. We have brief interviews. If you will stay with us just for a moment's time, we'll get the drivers on the way for any interviews.
Okay.
All right, and ladies and gentlemen, we have P3 finisher Mr. Roger Keller of Switzerland. It's been a crazy evening, to say the least. His English is not his first language, but nonetheless, it's better than what I can do. So, nonetheless, Roger Keller,
Yes.
welcome to the commentary box.
Yes, thank you very much.
As always, man.
Today was a funny day.
That's putting it nicely. So, thank you. But nonetheless, you did finish in P3. You
Yes.
took a daring strategy not to change tires for when the rain came. Could you walk us through
Yes.
that?
Yes. The first race I drive around me thinking it's not so bad, drive with slick tire. But then I can see, oh, I lost so many time. Maybe I can go. But unfortunately, don't work.
I mean,
But P3 I can hold.
I was about to say, you had a charging Kimani Eastman that wanted that podium position from you, and unfortunately for him, he could not catch you. But fortunately for you, you had held on to that position, and that was an epic drive. So, strategy didn't fully work, but at least it looked like it could have definitely played in your favor, nonetheless. In the second race, again, I apologize to the drivers for the drama, but could you walk us through the second race?
Yeah, the second race was not so bad. I lost a little bit time on the beginning, no, but on the end, yeah, P4 not so bad,
Not bad at
I
all.
think.
Not bad at all.
Yeah.
But again, we did have a brief hiatus from you, where I think you went back home, and you had to put down sim racing for a little bit. I must say myself, I'm very excited to have you back, brother.
Yeah, thank you very much. Me
Definitely.
too.
So we will be
And
in.
and I want to say to you, this was the first race nobody
Killed you.
drive in my rear.
Yeah, I must
Very
say,
good.
this is the one time I won't be seeing you in the protesting section, I'm assuming.
Yes.
But nonetheless, awesome drive, bro. And as I said, it's epic having you back.
Yes, and in the beginning from second race, I let the fast drivers go, no? Me thinking, no, when I have Jaden behind me, these are very danger.
Definitely, man. We might have another test race as well tomorrow, for the endurance race. So hopefully we'll see you out. Hopefully you will see me on track, to enjoy
Yes,
that one.
I don't know, I can participate without the team. I can drive alone.
Of course, of
Single
course,
drive.
of
Of course.
course.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we'll give more information on it. So very excited to have you back on
Mm,
board, though, man, and looking forward to
mm-hmm.
more interviews in the commentary
Yes.
box.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, brother. Bless you. Have a good
Yes, thank
morning for
you.
you.
Bye-bye. Yes. Thank
Have a
you.
good one, man.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was Roger Keller of Switzerland, coming in P3 in the first race and P4 in the second race. But now we have Mr. John Singleton, who put on what a spectacle of a race. We saw him in race one, I believe, take a late pit stop. I saw him adding fuel. So we don't know what happened, but John, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me, Stephen?
John, absolutely, man. Pleasure to have you on board.
Awesome.
We were bigging up
Great to meet you.
your organization earlier, with the development of the Palisades track, and talking about the championship, the karting championship that you want to hold, and that we love to be a part of.
Yeah, we can't wait to do that with you guys.
Absolutely. And seeing how you drive, it just shows me everything that we need to know, in order to prepare, because you learn quickly. In your debut race here at the JSRA. But nonetheless, a very interesting race this evening, to say the least. I guess we'll start off with the what was it? The pit stop. Could you walk us through that? Because we did notice that you and your counterpart Rodrigo did not take any tires. Could you walk us through that pit strategy?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened there. Basically, we stayed out. We stayed out on slicks. Can you hear me? Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, great. So we stayed out on the slicks, and it was okay. It was working all right. And then the rain started coming a bit harder, so I thought I'll come in the pits and get wet and go straight out. And I must have messed up the pit stop strategy because I got a penalty as well. So I was in the pits for 30 seconds.
And unfortunately, I think you did it on the last lap. Your pit stop.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so that one, I'm sure, hurt you, because you could have at least held, I think it was P5 or P6.
I know.
But unfortunately,
but that was good in the way.
Sorry?
But it was good because I didn't do this on purpose, mine. Because I'll be on pole for the last race, right?
And what a start to the race that was, man. I mean, you had the charging Bruni and Emmanuel right there on the rear end of your car for the majority of the race, and then you had Rohe fight his way from P8 up to P3. But you could walk us through that battle, because again, the grass looked like it was your biggest issue for that kind of stopped you from gaining that. When they made a mistake, if you were just that extra tenth or two ahead, you could have, or closer, sorry, you could have made.
Yeah.
So you can just walk us through that battle, what was going through your brain, and how that battle went for you.
Yeah, it was amazing. Got a good start. and I like the rain anyway. I like driving in the rain in karting and racing. So I was enjoying it up at the front, and then I made a mistake on that second to last corner and nearly lost it. And the guys came straight on me and overtook me on that second to last corner.
Oh no!
And they just went away. They went away, and then I managed to get it back, but just not quite. Didn't quite get it there, and when they made a mistake, I was just a little bit too far back. But I managed to, stay with them pretty much most of the race. Which was great.
Which was epic. I mean, you even look like you almost made me lose my voice there on the final corner, where it almost looked like you were about to make the move stick on Iman, but you could walk us through there because we didn't see it on camera, but I could only imagine what was going on.
Yeah, he went a bit deep and in that second to last one, and then I managed to get a good exit and got inside, and we were alongside each other, but he must have saved some boost or something or got better traction out of the corner because he just shot away, and I couldn't put the power down. So, it was great to get third.
Well, again, congrats, man. Your debut here with a podium, and that was an epic drive, if I do say so myself. I was rooting for you in the commentary box.
Awesome.
But
can't wait to see the replays.
Definitely. And just before I let you go, any thoughts on the karting championship that we have coming up, and anything you want to announce about your league itself, because we do love to support the ones who support us at the same time. So this would be a good chance to maybe bring some light to your organization.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. Yeah, AC Karting, Assetto Corsa's best karting solution.
100%.
We built the karts and the tracks based on Australian Kart Championship. So, we've got a load of junior and senior drivers that use our software for practicing in the Australian Kart Championship tracks. And then we met you guys, and we saw this fantastic track at Palisadoes, and we decided to work with you guys to see if we can put a championship together. And Nicholas and the guys have done a scan of the track, which is amazing. So you got a laser scan.
Yes, sir.
We're going to be building that laser scan of the track as we speak now. The next round of the Australian Kart Championship is in September, so all the kids are practicing that. You can join us on track. We have a server live all the time for practice. It's at Oakley at the moment, one of the best tracks in Australia. We have junior and senior karts, and we're going to do a global series that's going to kick off with Franchiacorta. So we just launched Franchiacorta, one of the best tracks in Italy. It's an amazing track.
Yes, sir.
And there's some great, features at the end of the race. So when everybody finishes the race, there's like Italian flag smoke that goes off, and fireworks and everything. So we want to do that for you guys with the black, gold, and green for Jamaica for your series, guys. So we're really looking forward to that, running up with you guys, because this has proven to us that you guys know what you're doing. It's brilliant, the CTCC. Really, really. So, big up to you guys, doing a great job.
And if I do say so myself, I mean, you did say that you are the best kart, or you have the best karts out there, and I will say for absolute fact, we've had the likes of real karters come in and test our equipment here at the JSRA, the likes of Zander Williams and Duncan or Stanley, and a few others who will be coming down. I'll send you the footage from them, and they were in disbelief at one, the track, but two, how realistic the karts were. So that just predicates to the value and the quality that we'll be getting from you guys. So as you said, you're impressed by us. We are impressed by you as well, man. And we thank you for the opportunity to work with you guys.
And that's big thanks to Rodrigo in Canada. So Rodrigo and I have been working for the past 3 years on AC karting. It's been an amazing journey, and we continue to keep pushing the content.
Absolutely. And any footage or anything that you want us to post on our social media, you can just forward it over. And ladies and
Will do.
gentlemen, you can just check our story or well, I'm not sure if it will be a reel. We'll discuss with John and Rodrigo once they're comfortable with it. But we'll post it out for you guys to follow and get on board with the new trend of karting. It is one of the funnest forms of racing, in my opinion, right behind the Caribbean Touring Car Championship. But nonetheless, epic drive, John, and very happy to have you on board, bro.
Thanks. Cheers, Stephen.
Thank you. Have a well, it would be morning for you as well.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Thanks, man.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was John Singleton, finished P9 in the first race with some drama, P3 in the second race with a absolute epic battle, chasing the likes of the Jamaican Mr. Rohir Robinson, who came out in P1 in the second race. And well, sorry, let me start with P2 in the first race with a drive-through penalty that just unraveled his race. We did call maybe a dummy was thrown by Mr. Jaden Harrison, and then a P1 finish, making the move on the final lap on the Bruneian driver Iman Rayan. Rohir Robinson, can you hear me?
Yeah.
What a mouthful. I mean, first of all, as I had to do with the other drivers, I'm going to apologize to you as well. Not sure what's happening with the servers, and we'll investigate it as the night goes on. But nonetheless, my apologies goes out to you. But what an epic drive there from you, especially in the first race. You can walk us through that. I don't want to go through the restart, but nonetheless, we can. You can walk us through that as well.
Yeah, the first race, the first one, I think, at the first 2 laps, I did study what part of the track I had an advantage over Jaden. So by lap 3, I started to push, especially with push to pass, because I thought that he was using it as well just to get away. But I used mine in a way that will, damage limitation on the parts that he was fastest. I maximized the use on where I was fastest.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to keep up with him every lap. And I realized that I was getting closer and closer, and I made a few moves. I think I'm not sure. I raced. I think Jaden is a bit upset, so I will have to review the race and see where I actually went wrong and hopefully improve in the future. But after taking the lead, I was saying, then the server restarted.
And it was less than a minute, if I remember correctly, or so, very near to when you passed Jaden Harrison, and that one did hurt.
Yeah. I started to extend the lead in race 1. But after the restart, I came second, right?
Right.
Because of
the drive-through penalty.
Rain and So that second race 1, I realized that taking the lead and saving my battery. And then at the mid part of the race, I still had a full battery, so I started to push, and I was getting away a bit. And then the rain came. And I think I made a mistake entering the pits because I
So we're not going to make you just breeze over that one so quick. From when the rain started, you actually built up a bigger gap to Jaden Harrison, all the way up to I think a 1.8 second gap. I assumed, and you don't want to assume, but I just want clarity here. Was it a case where you didn't know where the pit entry line was? Why he ended up closing that gap?
Yeah. I didn't do any pit entry practice. There were 2 entries. I was wondering which one it was. Then I remember that Jaden told me that the other one is the NASCAR entry. So when I remember that, I used the first one quickly, like that quick change of mind, and Since I didn't do any practice, I couldn't maximize the speed of going into the pit lane.
Right.
I was wondering where the pit lane entry was, where with the limiter, and I overshot that one and got a speed through.
That one was unfortunate. I mean, what we thought Jaden tried to bait you into it, and he took the bait because he was just trying to get in, because clearly he knew where the line was. But nonetheless, that was unfortunate, and that literally just unraveled the race for you. But nonetheless, yeah, but nonetheless, you still did come back in P2, so that was still worked out in your favor. You can walk us through that battle with Mr. Iman now and John Singleton, because John was literally there right in the rearview mirror of you both, but you were trying to make the move stick, and you left it up until I think it was the last lap. You made a move, and then he took it back, and then you had to make back another move. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah. So during that race, I realized that actually Iman has the pace to win. And I realized that he was extremely fast on the straights, and therefore I realized that I am fastest through the corners because of the tire pressure. He was fastest on the straights, so
top speed.
Usually when I get out of the corner before him, then he would take it right back because of his straight line speed.
Right.
So my advantage was that I could brake extremely later than he could. I could take the corner faster than he could. However, on the straight, he had the advantage. So I tried to maximize the use of the corner as best as possible. And I knew that if I got out of the final turn, maybe 1 or 1.5 seconds before him, then I could hold on for the final lap. And that's what I did.
And you made it stick too. Sorry, repeat that last part.
I'm saying it was really epic. It was back and forth for Iman and I.
Definitely. From our point of view, I didn't even think about the actual tuning, because rear wing and the tire pressures would play a huge role in it. But from our angle, the Iman just had a very unorthodox, very wide line coming out of turn or entering into turn 1, and he just seemingly pulled on the exits more than the entries. So yeah, it was a very unorthodox line, but clearly it worked for him. And him just parking that car where he needed to park it.
Yeah. I realized that it worked because of his tire pressure.
Right.
So I couldn't take that line.
Understood. No, and that's why we have these interviews for the clarity. But nonetheless, man, what an epic drive, especially in the final part of that race. We will be investigating what's going on with the servos as soon as I hang up with you. But nonetheless, that was an epic 2 rounds. Unfortunately, we did lose some viewers from the first race because of that lapse in restarting the stream. But nonetheless, the highlights will be on our YouTube channel for anybody who wants to go back and watch. And what a epic race there, Rohe. It's always a pleasure to have you on board with us. And I'm guessing we'll see you next week for the Sachsenring circuit, round 3 of the Germany tour, which I promise you will be dry. All right.
Thank you for the movie.
Absolutely. You sound a little bit low.
Yeah, I was saying to Jaden, I apologize for my hardcore racing tactics or dirty driving tactics. I think he would state that's what he would say. So I'm going to definitely review the replays and see where I could be cleaner.
Definitely. And as they see on the rear end of the Caribbean Touring cars on that license plate, this is the JSRA Driver Academy to help with development of racecraft. So I'm sure anything that happened was more a result of just hardcore racing than anything intentional.
Yeah, definitely.
We know in racing it happens. Bumping is racing, but nonetheless, it happens to the best of us. So don't hold your head too low. You can beat me later.
Yeah.
And enjoy that victory and get your spirits back up, as I'm sure Jaden will enjoy it as well, as we have a little bet going on. But nonetheless, Rohir Robinson finishing off in P2 in race 1 and P1 in race 2. Epic drive from you, Mr. Robinson. Always a pleasure to have you in the commentary booth.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you too. And have a blessed evening. Well, day, because it's day for you as well.
Yeah.
All right, bro.
All right.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was Rohir Robinson, the final interviewee that we'll have for the rest of this evening. Nonetheless, I've been your host, Mr. Stephen Stewart. I guess they've given me the mantle of host with the most. I'm hoping somebody else will give me that. But nonetheless, that was an epic drive from race 1 and race 2. A lot of information has been gathered, and we will try our best to investigate what happened with not just the server but also the stream. We are assuming it's something to do with the building that we are at the moment. Because things have just been going downhill, but we will be moving our facility after this month, so please stay tuned to our social medias for improvement and upgrades with the JSRA. I am so excited. If you can't tell from my face or my voice, I cannot wait for us to really reside in a place that really we can grow and our drivers can benefit from. But more information will be posted on our social medias. I've been your host, Mr. Stephen Stewart. Thank you for spending your time listening to my awful commentary and enjoying this evening with me. It's been an absolute pleasure. Have a wonderful evening. I see AC Karting in the chat. They were also on the track. Epic race from you as well, bro. Thank you for joining. And ladies and gentlemen, I bid you a good night. We are coming up to as
man, so
there is a run.
Oh yeah.
Let's try the switcheroo.
Yeah.
You came and failed the test, you met the best, expected chess, but got monopoly. I came and bought you out, I knocked you out, I cropped you out with no apologies. I am the hope, the heart, the fate, the spark, the one who will fulfill the prophecy. I just been counting, never lounging, climbing up mountains, bouncing back. Step in the ring, about you step back. They'll learn hot when I get on the track. I like it louder the most, watching all these shooters buy down to the goat. If I can't decide, I'ma probably get both. We can celebrate, but right now I'm a toast, resurrected.
Here is Eastman going side by side with Jaden Harrison. Jaden Harrison took him on the inside, but Eastman says no and closes the door. But here